What's good, everybody? Chris here again. Chris Goes Outdoors. Today in this video we're going to take a look at this tent right here. This is the Zpacks Altaplex tent. I got it in the Camo version, and as many of you know, I have been using the Zpacks Solplex for a pretty long time, couple of years now. Have had many a night out in that tent, and there were three kind of iffy things about that tent that I would change, and this tent right here kind of corrects all of them. The first being the Solplex takes 2 poles to set up. The Altaplex only takes 1. The feet end and the head end of the Solplex, also at my height of 6 feet, you do have a tendency to rub up against them, which can be an issue when there's condensation. And then 3, I felt that on the back side of the Solplex, there's some mesh screening and a backside vestibule, and I felt that that space was just kind of unallocated and probably should have been used in some way, shape, or form. And the Altaplex seems to correct all of those issues. Anyways, in this video, we're gonna take a look, set the thing up. I have the tent here in the stuff sack, along with the Zpacks carbon fiber trekking pole extension. I don't think I'll need this with the trekking pole I have, but I do have it just in case, and we'll see how it sets up. This entire package right here weighs in just over 17 ounces, I believe. I'll put the actual weights for everything on the screen so you can see them here. So just over 17 ounces for an entire shelter. With that said, it is pretty pricey, coming in around $585, I believe, but it is a Dyneema fabric tent. Dyneema itself is pretty expensive, as I hope most of you know by now, but we're gonna take a look at this thing, see how it sets up, see how it is inside, what the space is like, and we'll see. This could be the tent to replace my Zpacks Solplex. All right, so to set the tent up, we obviously have the tent. I also have my stakes here as well. A trekking pole, which Zpacks suggests setting up at the height of about 56 to 58 inches. I'm using the Cascade Mountain Tech 3K carbon fiber trekking pole. And if I go completely max, even past where it says stop on the things, I can get it to about 54 inches. But where I have the carbon fiber extension pole for the tip of the trekking pole, I'm going to go this route instead. With that said, I did measure the extension pole and the trekking pole itself, and if I set both of the adjustments to 48 inches or just below 125 centimeters, it gets to right at 58 inches. So I'm going to pop the tent out of the stuff sack, and we're just gonna wing it. I'm fairly familiar with setting up shelters like this, so I'm just going to do what I typically do for shelters designed like this. All right, so we got the tent laid out right now. Just putting the trekking pole on top of it as it's a little windy and trying to run away. But I'm going to try to set it up like I typically do the Solplex. So there's kind of 4 corners to the tent, starting at the back 2 corners. And then we'll move to the front of the tent. Again, the trekking pole is set at 48 inches or just below 125 centimeters. And we're using the Zpacks carbon fiber trekking pole extender. Then we're going to take the front guy line here. And then we'll move on to the next corners. It's looking pretty good. So we'll roll up the doors just so you can see. And then we'll get around to the back side. All right, so we have the 4 corners and the front guy line staked out. There's 1 directly in the back, and then there's 4 what I would say are optional guy lines. We'll hook them up. All right, and there we go. Pretty easy overall to set up. I'll show you now, since the doors are rolled up, I'll show you how the doors look when they are down. They are very easy to get out. It's just a fabric loop and a plastic toggle. And then they hook on to this little piece right here. It's almost like a little T-style clip that connects on to some loops at the bottom of the doors. And there you have it. Fairly easy setup overall. Much like the Solplex, much like the Duplex, they all set up really similar. But we'll give you a look around so you can see all the little ins and outs of the tent. There's a line lock at the guy out points and lines on this tent. So they use a smaller version of the line lock now. It's not the line lock 3, it's something else. I'll try to put the name up on here. And then the line right down to the stake. So super easy to loosen even with one hand. So you can just lift it up and that loosens it. And then to tighten it up, pull it back down. So I don't know how well it comes across in the video, but there's actually a fair amount of space between the fly here and then the netting in the back. This door on this side overhangs the other door. If it were to rain, you would probably be okay to maybe even leave both of these doors open if it was a light rain, which of course will help with condensation, but also if you just want to let like a breeze in there or something too in the summer, but still want a little bit of privacy, you could go that route too. But it is nice that there is some spacing between the fly here and the netting itself. On the Solplex, the netting is like right out here at where the actual fabric is. So essentially, if it's raining at all, it's very difficult if there's any sort of wind or the rain's blowing in any sort of direction that you can leave doors open like this. So this is nice to have this like overhang here. And right there you can see it's got kind of a rainbow style door. There are 2 zippers, little yellow loops on each one, high visibility, which seems like a strange choice on something that's supposed to be camo. And then you can see in there we have the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite, just to give you kind of an idea of the room. We'll pop inside shortly anyway, so you can see as well. We'll give you a look too at the camo pattern there. With Dyneema, the tents can be a little see-through, kind of like looking through like a fogged up mirror or something like that. I have never had any issue with it personally, but where this is a slightly thicker and camo version, it is a little bit more difficult to see through, but I'll try to pop in through the other side and we'll see if you can see me. All right, so I am in the tent sitting up on the pad and I don't know if you can see me. I'm waving right now. I'm now down the other end, laying down. Can you see me at all? I don't know, and I won't know until I look at this footage. So to give you a rough idea anyway, how much room there is, I am 6 feet tall, about 220 pounds. On the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite, the regular, so it's 20 inches wide. And look at all of the room I have on both sides. This is substantially more room than I would have in my Solplex. I could fit my entire pack in here with me, which as a Solplex user, not something I am typically used to doing. And then you can even take my camera bag. And there you can see my camera bag, Zpacks Nero, myself, and I still have plenty of room. So we got the quilt on. I'm on the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite, and you can see I'm not hitting the wall. I would have to do that. Right there, I am hitting the wall. So we flip it around, you can see all sorts of room between my head and the tent itself. It's pretty legit as far as space goes. We'll pop the closed cell foam pad in just so you can take a look too. So we've switched out now. I just have the X-Lite sitting underneath the vestibule because it's raining, but we switched out to the Nemo switchback, and as I expected, all sorts of room. Even with raising my legs, I'm not hitting it. Not even close to hitting the wall. Right there is where I would be hitting the wall. So in one of my last videos, I complained about how the rain fly was sewn directly to the floor of the shelter and how that made condensation run down like really bad. And you can see here on this tent, this in my opinion is done right. So you can see the bathtub floor here, and then there's a netting, bug netting between the wall and the floor. So the condensation that builds up should roll straight down through the mesh. And it does that along the entirety of the shelter. And within the shelter too, you can see these little shock cords right here with the little toggle on it. So that way, if you needed to raise the bathtub floor at all, you could do that. So if you were getting some splashback off the ground in a certain area, you could kind of raise the bathroom floor up with this. And you can do that right here at the head end. You can do it right there on the sidewall, right there on the sidewall, and right there at the foot end. And here you can kind of see, hopefully anyway, just how much vestibule space is in here as well. All right, so about 4 hours later, we are back out in the Altaplex. It's been set up this whole time. It's been raining the entire time. No water inside of the tent. Dyneema composite fabric is waterproof, or highly water resistant, as they say. Haven't seen anything leaking from seams at all. I do expect pretty significant condensation tonight. It is supposed to drop down into the 30s tonight at some point. We'll keep an eye on the weather. It's supposed to be rainy and possibly snow moving in too. We'll see how the night goes. I have the NeoAir X-Lite sleeping pad, the Nemo switchbacks even underneath it because I just didn't move it from earlier, and I got the Catabatic Flex 30.
Alright, so midnight check-in, temperatures have gotten significantly colder. It is still heavily raining, and there's definitely some condensation. You can see up on the wall here, hopefully, just roughly how much condensation. So the doors are completely closed, I hope you can see. And the only real condensation dripping we're getting is from pitter-patter of it hitting and bouncing down from the walls of the tent. Again, as to be expected. So hopefully you can see down there. The condensation, however, is not running onto the floor, which is excellent. I hope it's coming through in the video. But all the condensation is running out of the tent through the mesh, which is how things should be. There is no real issue with the floors being wet at all. The floors itself, dry, completely dry. The mesh in between the walls is working extremely, extremely well. There is a little condensation buildup, a little bit of wetness on the quilt, but nothing that I would consider major, at least yet. But we still have at least, I don't know, probably another 5 or 6 hours in here. So we'll see how that goes. So hopefully you can see the water from where I hit the condensation pooled up and then ran down and out of the tent through the mesh outside of the tent, as tents like this should be, in my opinion. So it appears to be working pretty well overall. We'll see how this all works out throughout the night, and yeah, we'll take a look. Take a look as we go, and hopefully we stay dry. At 5:30 the next morning, it is about 35 degrees. Temperatures dropped like crazy. It rained, sleeted all through the night up until about an hour ago. The actual tent body, I don't know how well you can see. I'll try to get some close-up of the ground too, but there's literally no water in here at all. So worked well. There is a lot of condensation, which again, expected. It was again another worst case scenario kind of night for condensation, especially in a one-person tent, and I did leave both doors closed the whole time. In all honesty, I probably could have opened one up, but I did want to kind of see how it would be, you know, fully enclosed, how it would perform. Overall, really pleased with the performance. So you should hopefully be able to see down here. There is definitely some water on my sleeping bag, my quilt for sure. That is splashback from condensation coming off of
the wall up here. So there is condensation on here. It's not too bad overall. Luckily, the quilt I have has hydrophobic down, so I have been sleeping completely warm throughout the entire night. And in my experience too, if I was on something like a thru hike, this does dry out pretty quick, especially like if you get sun the next day. You can pop this out at lunchtime and you'll be dry in no time. But hope you can see down there, there's absolutely no water on anything inside the tent otherwise. So nothing on the floor, nothing on my little battery there. Good to go. All right, so first day setting it up, first night spending inside of it, in the 30s with tons of rain, wind, and a little bit of sleety type snow. And I would say it performed pretty well. There's definitely more room than my Solplex, and it fixes the issues that I talked about with the Solplex. And overall, I'm pretty pumped at how it performed. Again, we'll see how this performs over time at this point. I'm almost positive that this will replace my Solplex, but only time will tell with that. So we'll see how it goes, see how it does down the line. Again, this is not a review. This is just my first usings of the tent, my first night in it in what I would consider pretty crappy New England weather, and it fared really well. So I'm happy about that, and I would expect that from Zpacks and for the price of this tent. With that said, I'm not recommending this gear at all. I'm not recommending it. Just wanted to show off the tent, show you the features, show you how it performed for me out in this weather. If you're interested in buying this tent, do some further research, check what you see in other videos, see if it's the right tent for you. Only you can know that for sure. I cannot tell you that either way. I am just some guy on YouTube who makes videos. If you enjoyed the video, you can drop it a like, you can comment, subscribe, share if you care. I don't really care either way what you do. You can follow me on Instagram if you care to, but I don't really update it, so I don't know, don't. And until next time, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.